Hi, this is Keith with How to Build Your Own Home, and I want to talk about just some processes I'm dealing with regard to drywall. A lot of areas, building departments require drywall to be inspected. Some don't. In my area, I do. And they typically check the nail pattern, the screw pattern throughout the whole home, make sure that there's a certain number of screws on a certain distance. It could be 6 on center, 12 on center, it depends. So I passed that inspection. I've given my drywaller approval to start. However, there's one caveat to him being able to start. Inside this home, we have what are called kerf doors. I will do another post on this. Kerf doors are where, when the door gets put inside, the mud and drywallers, when they tape and texture, they're actually going to hook right into the frame. And there's a groove inside that frame where they actually put their own flashing, and then they mud right to it, so it's a clean look. That eliminates the need for trim around the door. We'll have baseboard, but we're not going to have casing around the door. That actually saves some money on casing. It has a more modern, contemporary look. Sometimes it can look like a Southwest look. I will show you and give you a post on that, but I told my drywaller they want to come in mud, but the doors are not in yet. So he's going to come in and do the exterior walls, which you notice do not have drywall on them. This is part of the specs for the Omniblock that I'm building for this home. It does not allow for a drywall to be mudded directly to that wall. They want that wall to breathe. They don't want any moisture or buildup on that wall. This here, exterior of this wall, is actually the thermal mass of this exterior wall. They want that bare. This is just going to get mudded over. They'll put quite a bit of mud on here, and that will be affixed right to the wall. So I just can't take drywall and put it right on here, which you typically can. We're just going to mud that. The other thing I wanted to make sure of today is that we finally have power. I'm kind of excited about that. We have been without power on this build all the way up to this point, so now we have a 20 amp GFI right here. They came this morning. We've got permanent power to the job site. I'm excited. So that is a real plus right now. Believe me, that's been a hassle. I want to walk you through a couple of things here. Typically, on a home like this, I mark the floors before the drywallers get here, and I mark where all the lights are, and I didn't get that done in time. So I've got video of the whole site. I'll come back here tomorrow, and I'll walk through the video, and I'll make sure that no outlets and no ceiling J boxes are buried. I want to make sure of that, because fixing that later, after it's painted and after there's clean floor in here, that's not going to be fun. So I'll actually walk through the whole site in here and make sure that I'm clear on that, nothing's buried. But typically, before drywall gets here, you take some spray can, that upside down spray can, and you go around and mark it. If this is not your finished floor, typically it's not, you put tile, carpet, linoleum, or whatever down on the floor, that's not going to be a problem to have that on there. That way, when the drywallers come by and they say, hey, there's a mark there and there's no hole there, it looks like we buried something. It's a real signpost for them to make sure. And I have not had a build to this day where they haven't buried at least one outlet. It's a common practice. So I'm going to have to come through here with my video, make sure that's done, make sure that we don't have anything buried. I'm coming back here. Okay, we're now in a master bathroom, and the drywall's been done, and we've got den shield inside the shower right here. And you want to ask, when do you start doing the pan? They build up the pan with concrete and they slope it. They're just a perfect slope. Well, I don't like to have my tile guys in here until the mudding's done, because that mud tends to get embedded into the concrete, and then the tile does not affix to the concrete very well. These tape and texture guys, they dominate the room. They dominate the house, they dominate the build, and you really don't want anybody else in here until they're all done, because they're gonna mud and sand and mud and sand, and that gets everywhere. And my painters have made some comments that you don't even want to have the tile setters in here until it's painted, because over time they've seen that some of the tile when let's say I start putting the thin set down here and the concrete, and we'll do some videos on this to show you how they do that. But they put that down there, and now you've got painters coming in here, and they'll paint, and all that waste of the paint will get on the concrete, and it'll make it so you can't affix the tile to it. The mortar's not going to set to it. They want a clean bond as you can make. That's why I don't have tile guys in here until after it's mudded and tape and textured and after it's painted. When that's done, then the tile setters come in and flooring gets put in and everything. The last thing after that is your base and case, and then the painters come in and paint all the trim, and they do all the touch-up paint. So painters typically love to come in 2 or 3 sets, and we'll talk about more of that as we go through the finish on this home. But this is important. I've seen a lot of builders push, and they say get it done, and they're all on a schedule, but they don't realize they're affecting the quality of the build because they're impinging upon the quality of that build during the process. So we're going to do some other posts on this, on how and when to best get a shower done and when to bring those tile setters in. Again, I have a flow chart. It's on my program at How to Build Your Own Home. It's several pages long, and it gives a sequencing of just about everything, and I keep updating that. One of these days it will be a perfect thing that I can share with a lot of people, but it's something I've been working on over the years. These are things that a lot of owner builders don't know, or even a lot of builders don't know, is this sequencing of things. So I'm excited about this home. We're getting real close to getting to the finish stage. I had 2 inspections yesterday. I had a drywall inspection that passed, but I got an inspector that said to fill up all the CMU penetrations on the exterior wall. He's not very informed, and he's making a call on something where he doesn't really know that we're going to put glue on the outside of the wall. That's going to seal up the base of the wall, and as a result we don't need to seal up what he thinks we need to seal up. So I got another battle with the city that I got to deal with right now. The inspector on this home has been really difficult because he's not familiar with this type of a wall structure, and as a result I'm having to educate him through the entire process. And I have to be kind about that because I've got 2 more other builds with this material coming up in the future. So if I make naughty with him and make it difficult for him, it's going to be difficult for me down the road. And if you approach it like that as an owner builder, that you're in it for a long game, not just you're going to fight and bicker through the entire process on just your job, they will make your life really, really difficult. And why do that? So I have to be nice with him and educate him at the same time, but I don't need to upset him. I don't need to make him mad at me. So I'm always appreciative, and all the texts I give him, I said, thank you, appreciate that. And then I give him some information, and then he's backed off on quite a few things, so it's been nice. So this is Keith Couch giving you some updates on the job in the Bloomington area of Southwest Utah. See you guys soon.